Morning, Min. How are you?
Hey Dan, doing well, doing super well.
Brilliant. So, do you want to just give people a quick backstory of who you are and what you've been up to in your professional career?
Sure. So I'd like to say that there's sort of two halves to my career. The first half is super easy to tell because I got a job in corporate world and I stayed there for 25 years. My background is analytics and technology, and I was at Deloitte. And had a variety of different careers during that part. And then the two things happened, the 25-year milestone, bit of midlife crisis, 48 and a half. And I thought, right, what else is out there in this lovely world? And so for the last 7 or 8 years, I've got into the world of startups and scale ups. And that's where I operate these days. Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And I know we've spoken in advance, so you know what the question is before it comes. But what's the single best piece of advice you've ever been able to listen to and apply in the context of change and transformation?
So I remember it like it is yesterday in one of the mentors that I had gave me this nugget which I've carried forward to this day, which is if every day feels like the same day and you're not scaring yourself with the challenge ahead, then you're in too much of a comfort zone. You're not really pushing yourself, and you need to think about what that next step is. And I really took that advice, on board to say, okay, you know, my first role, I've kind of figured out what that looks like. It's nice and comfortable, collect the paycheck every month, and that was cool. But then I realized actually, if I don't progress and sort of learn some new things, make some new connections, then that could pretty much be my world, and I wasn't going to progress much from there. I started with an internal role at the firm, and took that advice on board, and it led to three more changes in career within the firm. And every single one of those was something that had never been done before. There wasn't even a job description for it. But sometimes, as I say, you just have to follow your heart. And that's what I did. I thought, this sounds amazing. Let's give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say, all right, nice try. You can just go back into your old role, right? And that's what I did. So, I helped set up the cyber team within internal audit. Never been done. And that was super cool. Got another tap on the shoulder, and they said, right, we want to set up this new team called Forensics, and we want you to lead the forensic analytics team. Never been done. I had no idea what forensics was, apart from obviously all the programs I'd watched around Quincy and Colombo. So, I'd kind of seen it on TV. And, that was amazing. Got to travel the world, built teams, built a little bit of name in the area for myself and the team. And then, that went on 13 years. And then, again, I sort of went from sort of, being someone that people knew around the firm for my areas. And then that little voice in my ear came and said, come on, man, remember that thing about scaring yourself? Because you've been doing this last thing for like 13 years. And I was like, come on, let's do it. And they were just setting up this new division within the firm, which was not only just across one section, it was across the whole company, but also a sort of global role as well. And they said, right, more and more of our clients are wanting to talk about analytics and technology. We want you to do a 12-month comment out of forensics and lead this analytics lab. And there isn't really a job description. You can work it out as to what that looks like, how you run sessions for CEOs and their boards, and how you kind of present the information. So I'm like, okay, that sounds mad. And initially the reservation as well, everyone knows me in this world as, the forensics guy, right? And now I'm having to change my badge, but I thought it can lead, it's going to be so interesting. And also I'm going to learn a whole load of stuff around different types of technology, different types of analytics. But most importantly, I'm going to come into touch with other people that I wouldn't necessarily not meet otherwise. And that's what I did. And every year they're like, this is amazing. Here's some more people. Here's a bigger room. So I went from the room size of a shoe cupboard, and they literally had like a whole floor to kind of run my sessions. 6 years of came and went, and it was absolutely amazing. But again, then I thought, right, what's next for me? And again, it's never too late to kind of have this thought. And I said, well, as amazing as it is being in the mothership and the comfort blanket of working for a large organization, I was working a lot with startups and founders, bringing them into the analytics lab and really seeing at close proximity how they were really creating these new cases around using technology to solve, complex business problems. And that's what I realized. Okay, let's leave the comfort zone of the big organization and go for a portfolio career. Started with one and then two and then three. And before I knew it, as people heard that I'd left the corporate world, they're like, "Oh my God, finally you've got time. Come on, can you get involved with my company?" And before I knew it, I had like 14 different companies that I was helping
Right.
to grow and scale. But during that time, and another piece of sort of advice that I had, which which again is I joke to people that I seem to have now made a career by who I know rather than what I know. That all came out of being curious. And within the firm, even though like there's literally thousands and thousands of people there, right from the start, I was really genuinely interested in what other departments and people did, and kind of make mental notes to say, oh, you do turnaround, or you do this specific type of tax or whatever. And then I was sort of known for who's the go-to person around. If you want to speak to the right person in the organization, speak to Min because he probably knows them. And that's what led to my me being asked to run the analytics lab, because I was sort of already connected with the wider firm and knowing who to bring in for sessions. And in my portfolio career that I've been having more recently, it was very much people would see my connections that I have because I was curious and building connections through the years, to say, "Oh, you know this person who's on the board of this bank," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's Joe. We worked together for 5 years, right?" So again, one of the bits of advice I can give on that is, you know, always continually network, make new connections. It can only make you, stronger. And it's not about what can they do for me. Think about what you can help them and do for them. And just connecting the dots can be super powerful. And yeah, so give that a go.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. So, two for the price of one. So, one of them is about not being too comfortable, and the other one is almost a mechanism to be able to do something about that. And you're the guy to perhaps help people work out how best to network to get out of their comfort zone and into something really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Now, the irony of all of this is that I say to people, I'm like the world's biggest introvert, right? So if I can do this, and the irony was I used to present to thousands of people at conferences, I used to run, very, very senior sessions for the biggest clients. Again, that was totally out of my comfort zone, but it's something that you can totally learn to do. And my role now is my day job is I work for a venture studio called Nobody Studios. Um, and we're building 100 companies in 5 years. My role there is I'm the scouting officer for the studio, and which in essence means most nights I'm going out networking, pitch competitions that's like Dragon's Den every day, working with universities, accelerators, and incubators. And again, still to this day, I'm sort of pushing my comfort zone because it's not something still that naturally comes to me. I'll get home and I'll sort of probably lie facing a corner for 10 minutes just to kind of
yeah,
chill out again. But again, I think the general advice is, make things that feel uncomfortable, and then every day it gets a little bit better, and give that a go.
fantastic. So, if people wanted to reach out, either they've got a bright idea and maybe Venture Studios could help, or they want to work out how to network and connect effectively and get out of their comfort zone, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I'm active on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message, or send me an email to my Nobody Studios email, which is min@nobodystudios.com. Always happy to have a call, a chat, a coffee to see how I can support them. And even if the studio isn't something that you want to bring your idea into, because we're very specific around the sectors and the hypotheses that we have. I always believe in paying it forward, and if it's not for us, I can probably connect you with someone who would be interested in perhaps taking it forward.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much for your time, Min. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dan.